You've seen them in media everywhere. Video games, music videos, cartoons, commercials, the list goes on. Most of Western society looks at sumo as a joke.
So he likes to watch two fat guys with diapers butt heads.
Overweight men colliding in nothing but diapers. But it's more than that. Sumo wrestling is real. But to understand and appreciate a sport, one must first know the rules. Sumo matches are held on a dohyo, a handmade clay ring with an inner circle made of cylinder straw bales that are partially buried, creating a diameter of 4.55 meters. Wrestlers wear nothing but a mawashi, a sort of belt that allows free range of movement, as well as a handle for fighters to grip on. Sadly, this is why many people are unattracted to the sport. But that's really immature, and it's a part of their culture and optimal for the sport to be played. Two wrestlers start opposite from each other in the ring. The closest they can get is to these two lines called the shikri sen, but are allowed to go as far back from those lines as they please. Upon being signaled, the instant both their hands touch the dohyo, they charge at each other. This initial charge is called the tachiai. A wrestler loses if anything but their feet touches the ground. If a rikishi, what professional sumo wrestlers are called, is pushed, thrown, tripped, or just accidentally steps out of the ring, they've lost. A referee, called a gyoji, calls when to start the match by pointing down his gunbai, a sort of fan, and then remains on the dohyo with a rikishi, calling the play-by-play to let them know if they're still in or have lost. The gyoji then declares the winner by pointing to the side upon which the winner started. On rare occasions where the winner is too close to call, 5 judges surrounding the ring will get up onto the dohyo and discuss what they saw and who they think won, while a 6th judge is in a replay room and tells them what he saw. This is called a mono-e. Then a winner is re-announced, and if it's too close to call, a rematch will be held. There are do's and don'ts in sumo. There is no hair pulling, punching, kicking, eye gouging, or weapons allowed. If you purposely disobey any of these rules, you will be awarded a loss. Surprisingly though, slaps to the face, thrusts to the neck, and headbutting at the takiai are all still free game. Tournaments are called Basho. They last 15 days and are on the odd-numbered months. Each rikishi fight once a day, and the rikishi with the most wins at the end of the 15 days wins the Basho. The rules are pretty simple, but it's the culture that makes sumo so complex. Culture is formed by history. Sumo originated in Japan several hundred years ago and has a deep, rich history. Everything in modern sumo accounts to that history. There are so many rituals and traditions carried out today that date back hundreds of years ago. I could spend hours talking about it, but I won't. Just understand sumo is an ancient sport, and like old things, should be respected. You wouldn't spit in your grandmother's face, would you? The reason rikishi are huge men who wear nothing but a mawashi not only goes back centuries, but is optimal for the sport to be played at its peak. One common misconception is that sumo wrestlers are fat, but they aren't. They merely have fat. Most of the fat in their bodies is stored just beneath their skin, and not on the inside and around their organs. This is because they work out 5+ hours a day. For Western culture to shame that is like if Japan made fun of Americans for wearing helmets and tackling each other in full body armor over a pigskin ball. Now, there are resources you can use to find out the history behind every ritual and tradition in sumo, and I'll link those at the end of the video and in the description. But not only does sumo deserve respect for how ancient it is and how long it has lasted, but it deserves respect for the rikishi within it. Even though sumo wrestling is Japan's national sport, being a sumo wrestler in the modern age isn't all fame and glamour. The road to being pro is a rigorous and lifelong endeavor. In Japanese elementary and high schools, sumo clubs/teams hold tournaments between other schools. Sometimes deciding one wants to become a professional sumo wrestler can start at that early of an age. Like all sports, no matter how young one starts, one is not guaranteed success. Sumo has height requirements that if aren't reached or have any major accomplishments, one can't become a sumo wrestler after high school. Although, if one manages to get past these hurdles, they are only met with more. After going through sumo training school, young men are recruited by beyas, places of living, training, eating, and sleeping that also date back several centuries. They are run by ex-rikishi who coach the wrestlers during training and practice bouts. There, the young recruits have to earn their keep by doing chores and waiting on the higher-ranked rikishi hand and foot. The hierarchy of beyas all revolves around rankings. In sumo, there are divisions upon which rikishi are placed and compete at Basho. The divisions go from highest to lowest as follows: Mokuchi, Joryo, Mukushita, Sandanme, Jonidan, and Jonokuchi. While only the top 2 divisions get salaried pay, so until Rikishi reach them, they were fighting for pennies. That's less salaried athletes than literally 1/20th of the NFL. Sometimes it takes years just to start earning a living in sumo, and sometimes, even after years, it never happens. Sumo is a brutal sport, in competing for rank and the likelihood of injury that comes from it. In fact, the average lifespan of sumo wrestlers after retirement is in the 60s. So one might ask, why become a sumo wrestler? Where's the glory?
Basho.
Where all the culture, all the traditions, all the rituals, all the training, all the eating, all the practice and hard work converge into one place. There are no weight classes in sumo. Rikishi of all sizes are equal. And as I said earlier, Basho are tournaments held 6 times a year on the odd-numbered months for 15 days straight. Rikishi in the top 2 divisions fight every day, while the lower divisions fight only 7 times, often every other day. The Rikishi with the most wins at the end of the Basho wins the tournament. Most Rikishi are content getting more wins than losses. This is called Akachi Koshi, and achieving that usually means a promotion in rank or safety from demotion. The reason Rikishi compete at Basho is not only for the prize money or for the awards at the end, some of which include free gas for a year, like my god I could use that, but they compete for the glory of accomplishing a promotion in rank while showing the world their brand of sumo. Although the ill-informed might think that there's no difference in how wrestlers win, just 2 men colliding and the stronger or heavier one wins, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Each rikishi have their own unique style of sumo that showcases their strengths. This is Enho. He is the smallest wrestler in the top division. He didn't meet the height requirements after high school, but he had a few noticeable accomplishments under his belt. So much so that he caught the eye of and was recruited by the 69th Yokozuna Hakuho. Enho is much smaller than other rikishi, thus his style of sumo had to adapt to that to be able to compete in the ring. Then you have Goto Shogiku, with his belly-bumping style that looks weird and unconventional, but when it works, it works. The point is, the Basho are more than just a place of competition. They're a place for rikishi to awe the world with their brand of sumo, techniques cultivated over the majority of their lives. That is to say, sumo is their artistic expression. In a culture so quiet, so well-mannered, one rarely gets the chance to showboat what they're truly proud of. Basho is their canvas. From the rituals upon which Yokozuna enter the ring, to the intense come-from-behind victories by the underdogs, even to the tossing of the salt onto the dohyo by rikishi, they showcase Japan's deep history and culture while simultaneously garnering in an audience with the spectacle of colossal titans battling it out for victory and respect. And as you know,
Japan is all about the respect.
After all this, you may be wondering, why like sumo wrestling? Why watch it? It's kind of hard to explain until you experience it. It's like trying to explain fireworks to a blind person. If I were to sum it up personally, I would say it's like the Magic School Bus meets the Magic Treehouse meets Demolition Derby meets Pokemon, then you're almost close to the experience of watching sumo wrestling. These men dedicate their lives to sumo, from their attitude and mannerisms to their body and lifestyle. Being a sumo wrestler is a 24/7 commitment. Rikishi can get banned for life for getting into a fight at a bar. The respect-oriented yet well-mannered culture of not showing much emotion in sumo allows for some interesting situations you wouldn't find in any other sport. Take this match for example. On the left, the 69th Yokozuna Hakuho, a man of Mongolian descent who is debatably the greatest of all time, breaking most of the sumo records to date. And on the right, Takayasu, ozeki who trained under former Japanese-born Yokozuna Casino Sato. Once both Rikishi's hands touch the ground, the match can start. That is called a mata, a false start. It usually happens when both Rikishi's hands aren't on the ground at the same time so that they're not in sync. Once this happens, the Gyoji calls mata and they reset their positions and try to become in sync. But there, Hakuho obviously saw that Takayasu's hands were not both down. So you wonder, what's going through Hakuho's head? Was that some sort of power move? Was he trying to assert his dominance? And you wonder what's going through Takayasu's head as that happened to him. Just watch the interactions from here. Finally, Hakuho thinks that Takayasu is low enough to start. The point is, there was so much intensity and pressure in silence. Hakuho is the Yokozuna, the top of the top, and he demands that respect. Without even fighting, there was so much intensity in the air without words being said at all. And then you have these sweet, beautiful moments of passion where Tomokaze just beat Yokozuna Kakeru, which is such a huge accomplishment. If you beat a Yokozuna at a significantly lower level, it's like beating Michael Jordan in a 1v1 basketball game. And so Tomokaze doing this, he thinks of his mentor, Yoshikaze, who is also a sumo wrestler and had just happened to announce his retirement that week. And it overwhelms him with a bittersweet victory that he's won, but his mentor is retiring. So I just want you to look at his emotion and passion and happiness in this interview after.
Just beat Kakuryu. Some tears when you're heading down the Hanamichi. Well, it's all about Yoshikaze, my senior at the stable, Oguruma Beya, unable to do his sumo and announce his retirement as Nakamura Oyakata just this week. But I was able to do my best sumo as of now, and I think that was a good win for him.
Behind their stoic faces of victory, there's a real person. A person who just wants to show the world their best. Sumo is unlike any other combat sport there is. Only one round and no best ofs. I asked a group of fans what their favorite aspects of sumo are. Here were some of their responses. The rules are simple and have been the same for centuries. 2 men enter, 1 man wins. The bouts can last 5 minutes or just 5 seconds. There's a combination of brutal force and technical nimbleness. The fact that you can root for your favorite rikishi throughout a 15-day basho, and what their peaks and pitfalls in rank are throughout the year. Sumo has a lot more at stake than most other sports. The use of traditionalism mixed with Japanese culture. Sumo is pure and real. If you're interested in watching sumo live or keeping up with sumo culture, I'll link some helpful resources down in the description. Special thanks to NHK Japan, the Grand Sumo Discord and Facebook groups, Jason's All Sumo channel, Embovo Sumo, Milky Tea, Chris Gould, and you for watching. Thank you, Japan, and sayonara.
That's my dinner. That's my meal. That's my meal ticket, you see. But what I've been living on just don't fill me up, Hulk Hogan. So I gotta have a little bit more. I gotta...